What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Made Men Overtime podcast. I'm your host, Easy the Shinobi, and with me is my co-host today, Berto, both of us coming at you live from the Bay Area. So, what's up to the
What's
people, man?
what's up, y'all?
Yeah, I know it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we came back, and especially down in the bubble in Orlando, it's some crazy ass playoffs, dude. I did not expect basically any of this to happen.
Oh yeah, definitely. The only thing that was guaranteed was the Lakers
No,
for
yeah,
the most part.
yeah, for
For
the
the most
most
part.
part. And that narrative has been, it's mostly come true so far in the Western Conference Finals. Obviously dropping Game 1 to both the Blazers and the Rockets. That kind of put doubt in people. But I mean, at this point, we kind of should learn not to really count out LeBron in the playoffs.
Yep.
But if you recall, kind of last episode, I kind of predicted a Celtics, no, not a Celtics, a Raptors Milwaukee Bucks Eastern Conference Finals, but we ended up getting the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics, it's surprising.
Yeah. It's a shame that they're in the bubble and not with actual fans in the stands.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I miss the LeBron era of the Miami Heat where everyone was just wearing all white, waving their rally towels. I miss that stuff.
oh yeah, the whiteout era of the Big Three Heat, and that was some classic basketball. And
Oh yeah, especially in the playoffs.
oh yeah, especially in the playoffs, man. Those two, everybody, will get hyped especially in the American Airlines Arena. Um, but kind of current era Heat. I mean, coming into the bubble, I was sort of expecting them to at least, because they got invited for a reason, make the playoffs and maybe get to the second round, or at least kind of, bow out in the second round. But no, I mean, what's been Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, especially Tyler Hero with that quick trigger and just ice in his veins, especially against the Bucks. Man, that dude is crazy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No, yeah, and basically, kind of with that, and looking at the other side of the coin with the Boston Celtics, which they lost Kyrie Irving in this past offseason, got Kemba Walker, who, I mean, he's he's a good scorer, but what makes him more special is the fact that he could generate offense. Basically, he could keep the offensive flow going with his assists, especially with Jason Tatum kind of at full health now. Thankfully for the shutdown that happened, these guys were able to kind of recover from whatever injuries they were having, and
Yeah.
and basically Marcus Smart as well stepping up as especially in defensive end. But
Oh yeah. He got defenses all team, right?
I
Marcus
think
Smart.
so. Yeah, I think so. It's either first team or second team. I actually have the thing right here. So, oh no, wait. No, this is all NBA teams. But yeah, I think Smart got first team. And then basically when you consider that, and basically with the way Brad Stevens has the system going, um, it's sort of tough. It was sort of tough to see them get to the conference finals, but they managed to do it. Now, kind of looking into it against Miami, obviously Miami took Game 1 last night in overtime. It's gonna be one of those series where it's most likely gonna come down to a Game 6, but it's definitely gonna be a good one to see.
Yep. Especially game one was a great preview. Just the very last minutes, it was 3 pointers rained down from Miami.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Butler, especially basically coming from Jimmy Butler, a guy who went to Miami when people were saying, "All right, he kind of made a mistake leaving the 76ers," and saying, "All right, there's not really any other co-star for him in Miami." It's more of the mentality of the work ethic that he brought to the Heat, and that he bought into basically with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra kind of convincing him. And
Yeah,
that's a
because I
oh, go ahead.
so I remember Jimmy Butler when he was in Chicago Bulls against LeBron.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny that how he's now leading the team for Miami when he was
yeah.
against it first when he was a Bull.
Yeah, exactly. That basically that 2014 era, 2014 2013 era of the Chicago Bulls. Uh, it's almost comes full circle in a way where basically now he's leading the Heat, um, and basically still a good stopper on defense, especially when it comes to late games. Remember, I think it was Game 4. I mean, other than the performance of Chris Middleton in that game, basically just kind of doing everything you can to keep Milwaukee going. Butler is defensively he's a presence there. I mean, he's basically just kind of locked up Middleton in that series. So far, the Celtics offense has actually connected really well against Miami.
For sure, for sure. Yeah,
Uh, yeah, but I mean, this is one we definitely got to see. We definitely got to see. If I had to choose, though, I would go Boston. I have a feeling Miami will eventually be back here again, but the experience of the Celtics is because most of that squad is still remaining from like the 2017 Eastern Conference Finals when they made it with Isaiah Thomas. The 2018 one, they made it, but with Kyrie Irving out injured. Um, and basically, they've been here. They have the experience. And they have basically kind of what I think would have been the final piece with Kemba Walker kind of uh, being that third option behind Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and others. And I feel like they at least that basically the bench unit is solid. I won't say they'll completely blow. I won't say it'll be like a 5-game series. Like I mentioned, it'll probably be Boston in 6, but it's this one could legitimately go either way.
yeah. For me, I would say is for me, I'd say game. Let's go with Game 7 to be honest, and I have to go all the way in with Miami Heat this time because hey, they're look how far they made it. So it's not. So it's definitely possible they can win the conference finals,
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
especially with all this. Both teams have young star power, but I probably say Jimmy Butler is a veteran of the two teams leading the way. Also, they have Iggy as well.
Oh yeah, basically have
Has a experience from he has the
yeah.
experience from the NBA Finals.
No, yeah, basically he has that experience with the Warriors, and it's it, and then he's still a good defensive role player to have, especially coming off the bench in Miami. Um, and not to mention that Jay Crowder is also a good role player to have. Obviously, Bam down in the post, he's basically been so good for them in this playoff run. Um,
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to remember. Did Miami trade Whiteside during the beginning of the season, or was it like begin? Sorry, did they trade Whiteside during the middle of the season, or was it during the beginning? I can't
I
remember.
I think they traded him. Hold on, let me hop on.
Or
So
he signed.
I want to say he basically left in free agency to Portland, but also sort of
Uh,
remembers hearing something about it that he got traded to Portland. Oh yeah, yeah, they traded him back in back in 2019 during the 2019 offseason. They traded him
mm,
for basically Maurice Harkless and Myers Leonard. Uh, I don't believe Harkless is still in the Heat. I know Leonard still is. But yeah, when you look at it, they kind of let go of Whiteside to finish
that's
developing.
an all-star right there.
Oh yeah, that's
To
an
be honest.
all-star. Yeah, I mean, for what Whiteside has done for Portland, especially in the bubble, he's an all-star quality talent, and basically, but they kind of let him, send him away to Portland. Finish developing Bam, who just shined this season. Got his first All Star appearance, and like I mentioned before, has been like a solid secondary or first option behind Jimmy Butler. Um, and they're just playing, fantastic team ball.
But yeah, training all-star for like two bench players, that's really saying something that you may always to the conference finals.
Oh yeah, basically because in the end, what's especially in the play in any playoff series, one like this, what matters in or what's one of the more important factors will be who has a stronger bench. Um, Basically, Miami. So I would give that edge to Miami, honestly. Because they have guys, like Myers Leonard, Duncan Robinson, who's been a solid producer as one of the six men, and others. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be a battle between Boston
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I miss Mar Chalmers in Miami and classic players of that. Wish they were still here.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean that old Heat squad, basically during the Big Three era, a lot of people looked over the bench because they actually, they had good role players. Mario Chalmers was like a solid assist man. Shane Battier, and especially Ray
Ooh,
Allen,
Shane
especially
Battier.
yeah, exactly. Shane Battier, I think he averaged like 15, 20 points off the bench. Ray Allen, obviously, in the clutch situations and against the San Antonio Spurs. So, I mean, but in the end, we got to admit, it's impressive to how far that they've rebuilt the Heat coming from last year where they didn't make the playoffs. They got close, but they didn't make it on Wade's final season. To
Yep.
now, basically developing a new cast of stars and basically getting Jimmy Butler from free agency when there's guys like LeBron trying to get into LA. I think Kawhi. I think
Okay.
Kawhi. Sorry, it's my Siri. Um, I think Kawhi also tried to get into the Clippers. Um, but yeah, man, he decided to bet on himself, went to Miami, and so far it's been paying off.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the Western Conference Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. But before we talk about that,
Game
oh, the
seven.
Clippers. Yeah,
Oh,
Clippers.
there's so many expectations last year. Even we thought that the Clippers were gonna make it to the conference finals. Like it was like 99% of like the NBA fans thought it was a given. Clippers, Lakers, Western Conference Finals after the
Yeah,
Kawhi Leonard and Paul George team up.
yeah, but also it wasn't just that. There was also multiple people like series like say 6 man EU candidates and defense players of EU candidates were assigned to Clippers afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Montrezl Harrell, he won Six Man of the Year this offseason, and they had it set. They had it set in a way where basically it was an underrated squad, not the most well liked squad, obviously, but it was a good defensive presence. And
Yep.
Jesus Christ, man, like a 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets, who basically were coming off a seven game series, a fantastic 7-game series against the Utah Jazz and Donovan Mitchell. Um, but damn, that thing, they fell apart. It's just I literally, you know,
Yeah, Doc Rivers. I'm predicting next season. That's his last season. That's what I'm predicting right now.
yeah, because we know basically. I think it was announced a couple of hours ago that he was coming back as a Clippers head coach. But at this point, you kind of think, all right, this championship winning coach getting him from the Boston Celtics. You got Kawhi Leonard, who's basically at least getting better on offense, but still a great defensive presence on the court. And you also basically managed to get Paul George, who last season was one of the top MVP candidates, and is known to have a great defensive presence as well. And basically, everything just fell apart when people were just predicting them. The collapse was worse when you kind of point out that they had double-digit leads in games 5, 6, and 7.
Right.
and that's not to take away from the Nuggets. No, the Nuggets, they're they're a young squad. Nikola Jokic is, he's just a superstar at this point. Just a do-it-all center. And also Jamal Murray, who's basically just been torching it throughout this whole entire playoffs. Basically, I think there's just been like a couple games where he didn't score either 40 or more. But yeah, and even Michael Porter Jr. Coming in as kind of like one of their. I think at this point their second scoring option. Might be wrong, but yeah, I mean the Clippers, they had every opportunity to send the Nuggets packing, and they just fell apart.
They couldn't deliver.
They really couldn't deliver, and you get that criticism that, especially with Kawhi, where looking back at it, you kind of think maybe he should have stayed in Toronto, or maybe he shouldn't have left the Spurs. I mean, the thing with the Spurs, it was a little, I guess in a way, a little understandable, where they're supposedly, they kind of misdiagnosed his quad injuries and all that. But with Toronto, there was a solid team there, especially with Pascal Siakam, stretch shooter with Fred VanVleet, fantastic veteran point guard with Kyle Lowry, and Nick Nurse, who basically just preaches almost the same system that Greg Popovich does in San Antonio, with sharing with basically passing the ball off, and their main strength being defense. But
yeah, that was his choice to leave.
Yeah, that was his choice to leave. He wanted to come back to LA, and basically, and not to mention the other winner of this, really, when you think about it, is the Oklahoma City Thunder, because they got 5 first-round picks out of it. It's and not only just 5 first-round picks, they got guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just basically a young guard who I feel is going to be one of the top guards in the league in the next couple of years, and enough stock to basically completely rebuild the Thunder, especially since it looks like Chris Paul might be leaving. Obviously, nothing's official yet. It's just the rumor mill going so far.
I give one more season.
Yeah,
just one more.
Just one more season, either in OKC or half a season in OKC before being traded to I don't know, probably
the Hornets.
The Hornets. Jesus Christ! Imagine he goes back to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I don't know. Probably swap out Rozier for Chris Paul, and well, I mean, it technically would be a homecoming because he was part of the New Orleans Hornets. So either way, if he ends up in.
I was being a little sarcastic. The Hornets, they're going nowhere. I still think about the Bobcats, to be honest.
Oh, right. I forgot that were the Bobcats at one point. Poor Hornets.
Yeah, 7 wins and X amount of losses for that one season.
Oh yeah, damn, that was way back in. I was like
I think that was 2010, 2011.
Oh yeah,
or 2012.
Yeah, no, it's 2011. I remember that because I think it was like the season after the Nets almost went like 7 wins, 10 wins.
Oh yep. So, then the 76ers became the Bobcats for one season.
Yep, and then that kicked off the process, which, I mean, that kind of tumbled downhill as well. But I mean, if kind of sidetrack, if I had to choose basically who takes over the reins as the 76ers head coach now, I mean, Kenny Atkinson would be a name I would consider for the job, because I mean, he's had a history of being able to develop young players into a solid playoff squad, especially with the Brooklyn Nets. So, I mean, why not? It's either him for the Sixers or him for the Hornets, especially with what's Lonzo Ball and Zion Williamson there. But there's also Mike D'Antoni, who, I mean, a little bit of a personal opinion. I kind of feel like D'Antoni would be an awesome fit in New Orleans, because I want to see 7 seconds or less with Zion and Zoe. So.
Well, Mike D'Antoni, I just feel half the defense, double the offense.
Oh,
That's how I feel.
Yeah, it's basically if I had to make a football comparison, it's kind of like the Chip Kelly era of Oregon, where it's like you just outscore the other team, and hope to God like their offense stalls out or something. Just like half the defense. But getting back to it, now basically now the game seven is long in the dust. We have Nuggets and Lakers, a rematch actually from 11 years ago in the 2009 Western Conference Finals. Um, it's this was going to be an interesting one to watch because, like I mentioned, the Nuggets coming in with a younger squad, with an all-star and Nikola Jokic, who was basically damn near average a triple-double in these playoffs. And it could really cause problems for basic Anthony Davis, and especially Jamal Murray at the two guard spot, because to be honest, or in my opinion, I don't really think the Lakers have that two guard to basically be able to lock him up. I mean, you could have LeBron on Jamal Murray, but I kind of that kind of leaves Michael Porter Jr. free to reign over. So I mean, it's going to be a tricky thing for the Lakers.
I trust Rondo. I think he can do the job.
Yeah.
Not the whole time, but he can do it though.
No, yeah, it's going to be a tough time, especially since in the playoffs, Rondo, defensive wise, he seems to be like a lockdown point guard, especially going back to Boston. Um, but yeah, if I had to say the one out of the Lakers starting lineup, the one person who's definitely going to have trouble is Anthony Davis with Jokic, because with the way Denver's offense runs, they like to pass, they like to spread the ball around, pick and rolls, and all that. And not only that, but Jokic, he prides himself in assists, but he's basically he's a great scorer for a big man. Basically, could hit it from three or mid range or basically anywhere on the floor.
You can say the same thing about Anthony Davis,
Yeah,
to be
you
honest.
can. You can basically. I would say he's a bit like his strength is more. So it gets a bit more in the paint, but mid range he's solid. I know he had that game. I think it was Game 3 against Portland where he drained a couple from 3-point line. I think he went 4 or 5 from there. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
But it's that extra presence, is that extra kind of like assist ability from Jokic that's gonna basically kind of cause a wrinkle in LA's defense.
Yeah. I think for Lakers, I think that we need to count on Dwight Howard to become All-Star Dwight Howard, but I don't think that's
No,
gonna
yeah,
happen.
I don't think that's gonna happen. But if they could at least get like 10, 15 minutes on the floor of like prime Orlando Magic Dwight Howard, because so far he's been a solid 5 off the bench, and also basically kind of has a better defensive presence than JaVale McGee, say for example. And he's basically kind of redeemed himself from like the past couple of seasons. But yeah, now that you mention it, it's gonna take more than Dwight Howard to basically kind of stop Jokic. Yeah, it might be kind of like Anthony Davis stepping up, um, which I fully believe he can. They just gotta. If I'm the Lakers, I'm looking at different ways to take away more so Jokic's passing, kind of clogging up the passing lanes because, like I mentioned, Denver like to run fast. They like to basically spread the ball around. They like to run down the shot clock. And that's one of the things they got to look forward to coming into the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean the one that
But
the,
I'm predicting this series is gonna be just people either shooting just a bunch of threes
yeah,
or shooting a bunch of bricks.
no, yeah, it's gonna.
I think it's gonna be a bunch of
Yeah,
bricks.
it's gonna be most likely it's gonna be a bunch of breaks. I mean, you could probably see the not so rare LeBron half court shot, basically just to basically show just so the Nuggets that he doesn't really give a fuck. So, and nailing it too, also. Um,
Actually, here's a point.
mhm.
So far, the Nuggets play 14 games,
Yeah,
so they're probably a little tired right now.
actually,
The Lakers only played 10 games so far in this playoffs, so they're a little more fresher.
yeah, actually, you do bring up a good point. And that's the other thing, mix with freshness and experience. Because the Lakers, at least what's been Rondo, LeBron, well, not so much Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, they've all been in this spot before, where it's basically kind of reaching to this level of the NBA playoffs. They have experience.
Not Davis.
No,
I
yeah,
think this is first season
yeah.
in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's his first. Well, not so much first season in the playoffs. It's first season, kind of heading into the conference finals. Um, so you have those guys with that experience, and also Danny Green as well. And basically, not just with experience, but with rest, because like you mentioned, LA played 10 games. They're and basically, still, uh, they got the rest. They've obviously paid attention to what was going on with Clippers and Nuggets. I'm pretty sure they've done their homework on how to basically stop Denver's offense. Um, so with the
I
Nuggets,
think. Sorry.
hmm? Oh, go ahead.
I think they're more prepared to play the Clippers than they are to play the Nuggets. If I have to be honest.
That's also a good point. Because you never know. Maybe they were just throughout this whole time. Maybe they're just expecting to play the Clippers, but didn't really expect the 3-1 meltdown. So if how can I put this? If I'm LA, it's basically depending on experience that you that's going to be the key to beat Denver. You're gonna have to rely on you're gonna obviously the first choice you have to rely on LeBron to be LeBron and kind of guide you into the NBA Finals. Um, but you also have to kind of trust what Rondo's been doing, and you also kind of have to provide that help against the passing lanes of Denver in order to kind of slow down their offense. Plus, there's also seeing as how Denver is a young squad, and this is the first time that many of the Nuggets are in the spot in the conference finals. You also have to bring that pressure, so that way they can kind of cause mistakes on the offensive end and on the defensive end, and take advantage of those when you get them.
Yeah, because last time I remember the Nuggets in them and just in the playoffs is with the Warriors when they had Cam Fareed,
Yeah,
the the Mambo. What I think those again Mambo,
yeah, is it the Manimal or the Mamble?
something like that.
Yeah, I remember Kenneth
Prime.
Farid.
Oh yeah, prime time.
Oh yeah,
He-
that Nugget squad was pretty underrated, honestly. But uh, yeah, like you mentioned, this is this is basically kind of them as a rising team. Uh,
Wasn't
personally, oh, go ahead.
wasn't that the team before Andre went to the Warriors?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I think that was yeah, because I think they got him from Denver on a trade. So I think the Warriors Nuggets play. I think there's a 2012 2013 playoffs. Um, I think it was after that series. I think where they got Iguodala. So,
Yeah,
um, but yeah, I
time
mean,
flies. Time is flying by.
yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, just 10 years ago, it was basically you know a Lakers Celtics finals. 10 years later, we might get that again, depending on how the conference finals go. Honestly, if I'm being a little selfish about it, I want to see, I want to see Boston and Denver go at it in the NBA Finals. I think I said in the last episode I wanted to see LA take the championship, but I don't know, something about a Nuggets Celtics NBA Final series seems intriguing to me because in a weird way, it's almost like their playoffs or their playing styles kind of match, but with Boston, they're less dependent on the 3 point shot. Like they got shooters, but it seems like they're more basically focused on slashing and mid range shots and just stifling down on defense.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean,
but
okay.
I still have to pick the Lakers.
No, yeah, it's
Lakers are on a mission right now, just for LeBron. But also, I think they're just playing more for just to honor Kobe at this point.
no, yeah, basically, yeah, because LeBron, he's definitely on a mission. You don't get to the finals 8 years in a row, and then basically just kind of only get 3 rings out of it. Dude's definitely on a mission. He wants to fully cement his place as the greatest of all time. Um, and this will probably most likely make another case for it. And like you mentioned with the Lakers, they want to win number 17 for Kobe, and so far they've been like a nonstop force throughout these playoffs. Uh, but this might go to Game 7. I'm calling this the series that goes to Game 7. I would say Lakers take it, but it won't be easy. Say Game 7 overtime victory for LA.
I'd say Game 6.
Game 6.
I'd say Game 6 Lakers.
Yeah. Yeah. But you also got to take into account Denver so far in the elimination games, they've just been lights out since the start of the playoffs. Did it to Utah, did it to the Clippers. Yeah, let's see if they could do it again to the Lakers. But I don't know. Oh, good.
Not to be a little cheesy, but they are in their little Cinderella story. So I think clock is about to hit midnight on them.
Yeah, that's true. We got 7 we got 4 games to figure out if it's midnight or 7 games if it's basically going on to the dance in the NBA Finals. So, judging from our predictions, I'm assuming you got Lakers and Miami in the NBA Finals.
I do, yeah.
I can see that happening. Honestly, that'll be that if it's Lakers Heat Miami NBA Finals. I could see that kind of going down as a classic, not just for offense, but as a defensive classic.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got Jimmy, who's basically who's a straight up competitor, who wants to basically take on the tough task, and he's gonna say if they make it, he's gonna match up against LeBron, especially on defense. He's gonna bring the fight to LeBron, and then you also got Eric Spoelstra, who helped coach LeBron to what I consider at least his greatest seasons, the back-to-back MVP seasons, I think in 2012 and 2013, in the Heat. So obviously, he's not going to be the same player as he once was. His tendencies are going to change a bit, but I'm pretty sure if Miami makes it to the NBA Finals, Spoelstra at least has kind of like a guidebook, or he's smart, or he could figure out a way how to kind of stop the king from taking over in the biggest stage.
Turn out the AC, basically.
Just like the Spurs did in 2014.
Oh, yeah. Good old Spurs.
Good old Spurs. Man, that's
and that's the only compliment you ever get from me for the Spurs.
Yeah. Basically, ever since Manu's game winner over the Warriors in the semifinals, huh?
No, ever since basically it took like 15 years for the Warriors to finally get like a home win against the Spurs.
Yeah, that's true. It did take a while, huh?
Long time.
A long time. That old Monte Ellis era of the Warriors, fun to watch, but God, it was just a pain whenever they didn't win. But so you got Miami and the Lakers in the finals. Who do you think? Or I'm assuming you still have LA taking it, right?
Yep, I have LA Bron.
LA Bron. Playoff Bron.
Mm-hmm.
King James. How many games?
To be honest, I'd say the finals with the Heat, I'd say 6 again.
6 again. Okay, that's a pretty. Yeah, I can see that happening. Now, if they go basically Celtics Nuggets, I got kind of want to say I got Boston winning in five. Just a more experienced squad at this point. But Denver will basically they will ball out. They will show up. Basically try to fight back against Boston. Now, if it's Miami and LA, I got almost got the same, but I say Lakers taking it five because other than Jimmy, there's still a young core um, at the helm in Miami. So, or I mean, other than Jimmy, Nick Iguodala, who's also been there before, there's still a young core in Miami who, I mean, so far they've stood up to the pressure, but this is the Lakers in the NBA Finals. That's gonna be that's a danger. That's a whole nother monster in itself.
Yeah. Now going to like a little bit subtopic for
Mhm.
like Finals MVP. If it's Lakers, I'll take Davis.
Oh
Miami,
wow.
I'll take Butler. Celtics, yeah, I'll take a Tatum.
Hmm.
Then if it's Nuggets, I'll take I just don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but the point guard.
Jamal Murray.
Yeah, Jamal.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, my picks are pretty would sort of be the same. I'd say probably for LA, LeBron, Miami, Jimmy, Celtics, Tatum, and for Denver, I'd probably go Jokic. Because I mean, Murray's been high volume scores throughout this whole playoffs, but Jokic, like I mentioned, he uh, averaging near triple doubles every game, so it's kind of tough to look past that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's solid picks. Basically, game one of the Eastern Conference Finals is in the bag, and we still got near a month of basketball left to go.
Yep. Then we have the draft. Then who knows when the next season will start?
Supposedly, I think it's supposed to start. I want to say after Christmas or sometime before that. Yeah, no, it's been
But
like, oh, go ahead.
things can change. Yep.
Yeah, yep. As we've seen in the world, things could change in an instant. So, I mean, at this point, it's kind of more looking forward to free agency and the draft, and because this free agency class could be kind of crazy, um, especially with the maybe the maybe departure of Giannis.
Maybe. I think he's gonna stay. To be honest,
Yeah,
was because I remember in the beginning during the season. I remember the storyline was Kawhi brought the balance back to the NBA with no more super teams, just two-man teams.
yeah. No, yeah, no, yeah. Basically, that whole deal is like, oh, he brought back balance. He didn't really bring back balance. He just kind of wanted another star with him in the Clippers, and that's fine. That's him. Um,
But
but
you
yeah,
have KD leaving for the Nets, which is injured. But yeah,
yeah, exactly. At least right now, the Warriors. If we had to look into the next season, I would say the Warriors are still one of the basically scariest squads out there. Because they still got a big three. Because they still got a big three with Splash Brothers and Draymond. No, basically, there's a lot of opinions.
well
Okay.
now it's Splash Bros and Pascal at this
Oh,
point. They got to
yeah.
get rid of Draymond, to be honest.
I mean, it's kind of tough because I mean, Draymond. I'm gonna see this.
I
Draymond.
compare to I compare him to like Joe Kino is with his super steep contract.
Right, right, right. I mean, if they had to make a choice, then I guess yeah, you could try to get Pascal. But the thing is, you have to take it into consideration with the cap situation, and also the luxury tax. I'm pretty sure basically it was Bob Myers and Joe Lacob and all that. They'll be willing to go into the tax to basically keep the championship window open. Uh, but then there's also that kind of because Jim was a homegrown talent. He's basically and side note, that's kind of the other thing I never really got about people saying that the Warriors are a super team when most of the talents, they've been developed by the Warriors organization.
Right.
Obviously, most of it started when KD came here, um, but going back to it, it's I don't know. I guess the Warriors fan in me is finding it tough to see Draymond leave, but as like a well, I guess an unbiased basketball fanatic, I could kind of see why it would make sense to trade him, at least to basically get a younger forward.
Yeah, but it's more for just the cap space.
Yeah, it was more for just the cap space, and especially if you have Andrew Wiggins, who I mean, I personally I think Andrew Wiggins will actually pan out in Golden State. Um, just Steve Kerr, I'm pretty sure I'm confident he has the ability to kind of finish developing Wiggins' game, because you also got to take into consideration that um, when he got to Cleveland, he was basically there for like a season, I think, before he got traded to make space for Kevin Love. And then in Minnesota, he never really had a consistent coach. I mean, he had Tom Thibodeau for 1 or 2 seasons, I think, but that's practically about it. So I think Steve Kerr could be the final piece to help Wiggins fully mature his game, and plus he's a good wing player, and will basically open up the floor for Curry or Klay Thompson out on the perimeter.
Yeah, he's just really needs to work on his shooting game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Basically, he's an
He's good
average.
at he's good on paint on the paint, but shooting wise, he's decent.
No, yeah, he's decent in the mid-range game. His strength of his game mostly comes from the paint. Um, but at least, but in the Warrior system, I'm pretty sure they'll play to his strengths to it, especially defensively, because he's not a bad defender. I mean, he's an average defender, but I'm pretty sure they could develop him better. Um, but yeah, I mean, heading back to it with Siakam, if they decide to trade him, which I can't see Toronto basically letting go of Pascal. They'll let
Oh
go.
wait, wait, I think I got the name wrong again. The guy that's Eric on the Warriors.
Eric Pascal.
Yeah, that's who I meant.
Uh, well,
Yeah, so
well,
it's that's what I meant. Splashverse and Eric.
okay, okay. I got you now. I mean, well, I mean, it was basically kind of. Are you taking it in a way where they kind of have Eric Pascal kind of replace Draymond?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, there's potential there. Pascal did make the first All NBA rookie team, so. I mean,
Draymond can be like a six man, but right now his value is dropping.
no, yeah, especially after this season, it's kind of tough to kind of put him in the same consideration as he once was, especially after 2017. But but I mean, guess cutting them a little slack. It was an injury prone season, especially with Draymond kind of being out most of the time. Same thing with Steph. Clay obviously wasn't going to play this season with his recovering from ACL surgery. Um, but I don't know. I'm still predicting that basically the Warriors come back. The Big Three comes back basically to kind of rule over the NBA again. There will, I would assume there will be some trades from the Warriors, depending on what they do, because you can't really predict nowadays in the NBA free agency market. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, it's gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, going back to rewinding a little bit.
Mm-hmm,
Lakers,
mm-hmm.
J.R. Smith. Can't forget about J.R.
The Henny God.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, we need to have a parade for just that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, coming because memes aside from the 2018 finals, he's been pretty solid. I mean, he's obviously not, a streaky shooter like he once was, but he's been a good help off the bench for LA. So I mean, so basically, if they make it to the finals, and he's able to kind of I guess in a way redeem himself. I mean, yeah, I mean, you got to give credit to
Yeah,
credit's due with JR, especially. I think it's in the first game back of the bubble where he just kept. I think it went for like 7 of 9 from 3 point land.
right.
No, yeah. So I mean, really, I mean, in the end,
Yeah.
depending on like basically what role he plays in the NBA Finals, we got to give the guy his due.
For the free season, I'm really more interested in where is Carmelo's going to go to.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing because I mean the dude's redemption tour has been basically one of the best stories of the NBA season so far, especially coming back from the hiatus. Um, I can see Portland's one. I could definitely see Portland wanting to keep him. Supposedly, there's been talks of New York wanting to bring him back for another run at the Knicks, but
I don't
uh,
want that. I
yeah,
personally don't want that.
yeah, no, there's not. I guess this is the nicest way to put it. There's no team there for Carmelo to lead. That's the thing. I
Right.
mean, yeah, you have RJ Barrett, who we still got to personally we still got to see how he pans out. Only just got past his rookie year, so he could develop into a star with his raw talent. But other than that, it's just because it made sense back then, back 10 years ago, because they had Amari, they had at first they had Raymond Felton, who was a highly underrated point guard in my point of view back then. And they had D'Antoni and all that, but now I mean, yeah, there's why would Carmelo go back?
Yep, pretty much. I
So
feel he's going to stay with the Portland, but if I had to pick my fancy pick, I will have Carmelo join the Clippers, actually.
damn, that would be interesting. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see how basically Paul George and Kawhi react with Melo taking multiple, basically kind of like 20, 30 shots per game. um,
Well, pretty sure he's better than PG at playoffs.
yeah, no, that's the other thing too. Five draft picks, five first future round picks, and he goes cold in the third. I think he only made like 6 of 22 from the field. It's just that was another. I don't know. I don't know what else you can say about the Clippers collapse except just Jesus, what a letdown. But yeah, I mean with Melo, honestly, I could, especially fantasy wise, I could see him staying in Portland. Um, it seems like he's finally found what he's I guess his home there with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Terry
Yeah.
Stotts has been basically like a solid coach. Yusuf Nurkic, outstanding underrated center, and also Hassan Whiteside, basically good defensive presence. And it's a squad you could build around. So, or you could basically finish building around with with Portland. It's not like the entire offense is piled on him. Um, but
He pretty much accepted his role in Portland. Let's go for
yeah,
that.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, basically, kind of not being able to play basketball. I guess you basically learn some things and just kind of just accept. Okay, this is my new role now. I'm not the primary scorer of the team, but he's still a solid three. And I'm actually happy for Melo. I mean, the dude has earned basically a stay in the Blazers.
Yeah. They definitely gave him more chance than the Rockets did.
Oh yeah, no, the Rockets they really didn't give him a chance because there was that hype with there's going to be a big three, with James Harden, but yeah, at that point we should have figured out that Harden, he's gonna be the dominant ball handler in Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but come on, 7 games or 8 games, then you gave up on Carmelo.
yeah. Then you did because didn't he go from there to Oklahoma City or was it the other way around?
No, they just released him
Oh
pretty
right,
much.
Oh, right. Because I think New York traded him to Oklahoma. And basically, no, yeah, they were the ones that tried to make a big three with him, West, and Paul George. And even that was, that wasn't. That
That
was
was a
kind of,
that was a better experiment, but yeah,
yeah,
didn't work out.
yeah. It didn't really work out on paper. It looked like it would have, because basically, basically you got three of the best scorers in the NBA. Not the most efficient, but the best scorers in the NBA. And it looked like they worked out for a bit, but I mean, then gets sent to Houston, um, and only gave him 8 games, like you mentioned. And it's just kind of,
Well, he went from OKC to the Hawks. Then the Hawks buy him
yeah.
out of his contract. Then the Rockets buy him on the cheap side.
Oh right, yeah. Now I remember. Yeah, it's this, basically. I remember those memes. Atlanta Hawks legend Carmelo Anthony, um, and then basically, yeah, Houston bought him on the cheap side. I think he was there. Was he there when Chris Paul was there, or was
Yeah,
that?
he
Uh,
was. It was a Chris Paul era in the James
was it,
Harden.
yeah, it was basically the Paul and Harden era. Which, I mean, for a minute it did look like it worked out, but then Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals happened. 27 missed 3-pointers, but that's a story for another day, I guess. But yeah, no, Melo didn't really get a fair shake in Houston. Basically, kind of, was out of the league for sometime months, and now you basically found his home and found his spot in Portland, which obviously is the best situation you can land in.
Yeah, I feel this is gonna be like the new thing going on forward with DeMarcus Cousins. To be honest.
No, yeah, because I mean it's unfortunate with Boogie too, because with Boogie, kind of going back, he got traded to New Orleans. Um, it looked like he was gonna, like, it was a rough start at first, but it looked like he was legitimately gonna be a good 1-2 punch with Anthony Davis. But then he ended up, getting injured and tearing his Achilles. Anthony Davis, basically kind of leads. I think he led the Pelicans to the playoffs this season, to the 8th seed. And with Boogie, yeah, goes off in free agency, goes to the Warriors. It looked like it was going to be, just one of those squads that just wreak havoc on the league. With Curry, Clay, Draymond, DMC, and KD. But you know, it honestly went rough. Um, Especially since he came back from the playoffs, but then I think he tore his quad, and he came back for the finals, but it ended up just, it ended up with Toronto winning it. Um, and then with LA, it looked like, okay, he's going to be his first full season back. He's ready. He looks healthy. He basically is ready to prove that he's still an elite center. And then he tears his ACL, or I think he tears his Achilles.
I think it was ACL
Yeah,
during during like not like a scrimmage, but like a like a
pickup
like a
game.
pickup game in like in a park, like in a park or something.
Yeah, and just with that, I think it was off of a non-contact injury, and that honestly sucks, dude. Because it's, I mean, it was just shit luck from the guy starting from his injury in New Orleans all the way till now. I mean, that might be, and like you mentioned, that might be the career path for Boogie, where he just jump from one team to another. And I mean, hopefully it works out. Hopefully he's able to get back to basically that prime DeMarcus Cousins where we saw in like the later years in Sacramento, and a bit in New Orleans. So
Yeah. At least what I heard, like say before he got like cut from the Lakers, that they're planning to bring him back next season if there's
yeah,
cap space.
yeah. I mean, it would be a solid pickup,
So
especially
there's
if,
hope for him.
yeah, there's definitely hope for him. I mean, if they're able to retain AD, and like say, either JaVale or Dwight leaves in free agency, that would be a solid pickup. You could reunite the 1-2 punch from New Orleans, and basically kind of, and he's still, and he's still. I'm pretty sure he could still be a good mid-range scorer, and especially from distance as well. So, and like a terror on defense, and definitely going to need that, especially when you got like teams like the Pelicans coming up with basically stronger with a stronger 4 or 5. You're definitely going to need someone that's physical, and that's DeMarcus Cousins.
Yep.
No, so
Yeah. I'm predicting he's going to go to like the Rockets. They really need a big man over there.
Oh yeah, no, they really need a big man. I mean, Tyson Chandler's there, but he's kind of not as what he used to. As what he used to be.
He's age.
Yeah, age is finally got to him. So yeah, they really need a big man, especially after they let go of Clint Capella. Because I mean, the PJ Tucker experiment, I guess it had its high points, but it really didn't work out in the end. They really need a big man. I could see him being a good fit with Westbrook and Harden. And especially, it also depends on who they get as a coach. Like if they get, I don't know, let's say probably Tyronn Lue, because Tyronn Lue, I think he likes to run a lot of iso ball or pick and roll ball. So he would definitely fit well in Houston, depending on what the system is and all that, because it also depends on the system as well. Let's see.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if any other choice, I mean, he could have. I would say probably looking at it. Honestly, yeah. Like the Rockets would be the best fit for him so far. Maybe the Lakers if they do end up going through bringing him back. So
the best way I can put it in a nicer way, the Rockets are the most desperate team.
Yeah.
Them and the Knicks.
Oh yeah, no, the Knicks at this point, if you're talented, they'll give you a contract no matter what. I mean, if they give Boogie a contract, that's good. That's honestly good for Boogie because kind of
gives some exposure. To be honest,
it gives him exposure, and depending on how that season goes, if he wants to stay, he could stay. If not, then at least he'll have teams calling for him and basically offering him bigger deals. I would say the Suns, but it seems like they finally got stuff down with DeAndre Ayton. Maybe they could kind of bring him in as a 4 and just provide some more help for Devin Booker, who another underrated MVP for the bubble. The 9-0 Suns were just a joy to watch. It honestly does like that they weren't able to get into the playoffs, but future's bright over there in Phoenix. Yep. All right. It's about time to wrap it up. Basically we got a shit ton more basketball to go. Next time we'll be back with Maidman and Toby because there's so far the NFL season has been pretty interesting. The offseason brought some new faces to new places, and week 1 that was just. It was a good week. It was a good, not obviously not Niner wise because my God, I don't.
Well, I went 0-3 this week.
Who'd you have in the games?
Niners, Falcons, and Bengals.
Right. Well, at least the good part is that Joe Burrow kind of looks solid enough. It's basically a rookie year. The Falcons.
It's only game 1.
It's only game 1. Honestly, it's too quick to hit the panic button at this point. Same thing with San Francisco. Although I did watch the final drive that looked like it was going to be, the end with the Niners touchdown, but I just I kept begging Jimmy to just zip it or something. But I mean, it's week 1. Obviously, Kings are going to get worked out, and basically, it's a long season ahead. So,
my point of view is basically you only have week 1 to 4, or I consider, to be honest, still preseason because you still have teams trying to get the rhythm.
Yeah,
they count as games, but it's like too early.
No, yeah, it's still too early. It's when you get to week 5 and on, then that's when the games become critical.
Yeah.
And that's when the chemistry starts to come up because it's like with anything. When you're a veteran team or a veteran dominated team, you don't get started until like you don't really get started until like mid season. That's when the intensity amps up, and that's when, especially when the playoff push comes along.
Oh, yeah.
Um, that's
And
when it
that's when
comes
you
to
win
the
like 10, and that's when you win 10 games in a row.
Yeah, exactly. You win 10 games in a row, 12 games, you go perfect. Honestly, it's like I was telling my brother, honestly, if there was like a team that could go 19-0, this would be the perfect season to do it because you don't have to, especially when you go on the road, you don't have to worry about the noise. Because it's either empty.
Actually, I saw the Chiefs game. There's actually fans in the stands.
Oh yeah, but it's not as loud as when stuff
Yeah.
was open. So at least you get some distraction, but it's not to the point of like Arrowhead a year ago where that place is just booming with sound. So I mean, yeah, I mean, whoever still want to know at this point, take advantage and try to go for the 19-0. This would be your best chance to do it. Um, yeah, but it's week 1. Cover that another day or whenever we get Toby back. Um,
Yeah. So
so
also you have the Stanley Cup is also wrapping up soon too as well, and there's I think they announced something about the NCAA getting back to mid-November for both college and basketball.
so I actually was looking into that. I think the Big Ten is coming back in November. Actually, it's either the Big Ten or someone because I know the SEC is still going through as normal. The Big 12 is still going through as normal. Let me see. Let me see. Can't seem to find it, but yeah, I forgot. I want to say it's the Big Ten that's coming back a bit later in the year. But yeah, it's college football is going to be this season's going to be an interesting one, especially with like teams opting out, players opting out. There's even talk of maybe transferring some of the schools to like the SEC, probably like Ohio State or Oregon or Michigan, because it's not going to be in the Pac-12 this year, unfortunately. Um,
I need
yeah,
My Stanford football. I need
yeah.
it.
I miss the old Stanford days with Andrew Luck. Nowadays, it's just it's still a good defensive squad, but not as it once was. But honestly, if they went through with it, give me Ohio State versus Alabama. I want to see that. I want to see how Nick Saban. I mean, he has experience coaching up against spread offenses, but I want to see him take on basically what's the Buckeyes or the Ducks or just like all these crazy matchups. Honestly, just scrap the conferences, let him go at it for basically the national title. Just whatever it takes. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting time in sports. Yeah,
Yeah, to be honest, right now, NBA, NFL, MLB,
yeah,
football. Everyone has their news that are going on like right now.
yeah, exactly. MLB. I know they're shortening their game. They're shortening their season to 60 games. And it's just basically providing like all these opportunities for like basically these new teams to make the playoffs. I know the Giants are kind of. I think they're in the wild card race. I've been trying to keep up as much as I can with baseball, but busy. But yeah, man. I mean, everybody's good. Everybody's got their news. Everybody's looking forward to it. Honestly, we'll probably look back at this as one of the strangest times in sports, but one of the most entertaining times in sports.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think that's gonna call it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure to follow us on our Instagram page at mademan_7 pod underscore podcast 7. Basically posting stuff up there. New gameplay footage is coming out for our Modern Warfare, I guess, late night stuff that we did a couple weeks ago. Follow Shinobi Visions, Shinobi_Visions on Instagram. And you got anything you want to plug, man?
Again, not this time.
All right. Oh, all right. So signing off from the Bay Area. Everyone stay safe. Be careful out there. Please wear a mask, obviously. We'll get through this together.
Oh.
Yep.
Remember to vote.
Yeah, that too. Remember to vote. All right. Signing off. This is Easy the Shinobi. This is my co-host, Berto. Y'all have a good night.